There's the chemicals that take us higher. The night's young, and it's just begun. As she puts her hand in mine, we wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, every shot from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild.
Thank you for joining us again as we are back to bring you the end of the day's wrap in the second test between West Indies and South Africa there at the National Stadium in Georgetown, Guyana. As you would see, expert advice on Shamar Joseph Brillant. But it's more than Shamar Joseph that we're going to discuss this evening, because as you would know, the West Indies struggling right now at 90 odd for the loss of 7 wickets after bowling out South Africa for 160. It's a disgusting batting performance so far from the West Indies. Jason Holder top scoring there in the 30s, and the next best is Casey Carty with 26. Captain Craig Brathwaite continues to fail, and I have along with me here Dennis Eat. He's from Southern California, and he's a cricket analyst with us. He's also recently nominated and slated to be inducted October 5th in the Cricket Hall of Fame for the tremendous work that he has been doing in the cricket circles there in the United States and in the rest of the cricketing world. Mr. Eat, we also have with us the Honorary Secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame, Mr. Dale Brown, and the President of Cricket Show USA, Mr. Leon Francis, will be with us in some minutes' time. Mr. Eat, your reaction to the performance of the West Indies battle so far?
Well, I'm at a loss for words, Mr. Codlin, but let me first say welcome back to listeners and, of course, the panelists on the West Indies Cricket Development Academy channel. I am at a loss for words, totally blown over. It appears to me that when South Africa was bowled out today, I had the understanding that in a well-run team of people who have the correct mindset and the correct ideals, that a decision would be made, a plan would be taken. They would sit down and decide that, okay, here's what we are going to do for today. We are going back out there as West Indies to occupy the crease for the rest of the day. We're going to turn over the strike and aim for about 100 plus overnight. By the end of the second day, West Indies should be at least 360 or so, a lead of about 250 for South Africa. South Africa would then have to bat, knock off that 250 plus, set West Indies at least another 200 runs for in day 5. That was just my pipe dream, unfortunately. And no way does it appear that the West Indies team, managers, coaches, captains sat down at the end of South Africa's innings and discussed or made a plan of action as to what they intended to do. They came out and gave us the sort of display which we have seen far too many times. And I think we see South Africa was 7 wickets lost for 88 runs, West Indies 7 wickets lost for 97 runs. It is a major reliance on Jason Holder. As we had said earlier today, he has certainly begun to show his experience, his age, and his skills. But for Jason Holder, I think West Indies would probably have been all out for less than 80 runs. We now have to go back to the drawing board and make a plan. And part of that plan has got to be to get into the minds and the heads of these players, to let them understand that there is a lot leaning on their shoulders when they get out there to bat. And today there was no pressure, absolutely no pressure at all on the West Indies. And we watched them go out there and flounder, but 1 or 2 players may have had that unplayable ball. And I'm perhaps taking away from South African bowlers the magnificent performance they did in their bowling efforts. They literally channeled the West Indies bowlers, the West South African bowlers did. So they bowled well, but since West Indies had no pressure on them, there is no need for them to have fallen the way they did. Mr. C, I would go so far as to say I've reached the stage now where I think West Indies is playing out of their league. And it is about time ICC and cricket in general wake up and decide to divide all their member team into 3 divisions. And West Indies should be in the 3rd division, playing their way up. They need an incentive. And the only incentive that would put them straight is to put them in that 3rd division below Scotland, Ireland, and Afghanistan. Let them work their way up. Because their performance to date, it seems they are making the same mistake over and over and over. And it is more than enough. My patience is totally out. And I think at this point, before I say any more, I'll return it back to you, Mr. Codlin.
Absolutely. As the viewers are watching, as you could see, there an advertisement from Cape C on your screen, and we'll just give that some time to run, and then we'll be right with you. Thank you. So, Mr. Brown, in the assessment of this West Indies team, when you look in the limited overs part of the game where Coach Darren Sammy and his team, you'd almost see the coaching staff have their book sending out messages. The coach himself would wait on a break and come out on the field and try to instruct his players, trying to motivate and to get something going out of them. But when we look at this game, we see a reluctant Andre Coley and a lackluster captain in Craig Brathwaite. Under their leadership and with an election coming up for Cricket West Indies in a few months' time, do you think now West Indies cricket is really in need of a change, something different? Because truth to be told, under the coaching of Phil Simmons, West Indies was performing a lot better in Test cricket, despite South Africa bowling us out for 121 and 130 odd in St. Lucia in 2021. But apart from that, the West Indies was much better in Test cricket under Phil Simmons than we are seeing under the reluctant Andre Coley, the Jamaican Andre Coley that did not really come to the coaching with any real evidence that he can mold this West Indies team and allow them to build on the game that they would have gotten under coach Phil Simmons. Your thoughts on we talked about earlier today the leadership of Craig Brathwaite and that of coach Andre Coley, those in the back room, the kind of mindset that the players would be in. But from what we are seeing, it's a total meltdown. What do you think of that description? Is it fitting to say West Indies have a total meltdown? When they got an opportunity to seize the game, they allow it to drift. Would you care to expound on that a bit more and to speak if you differ with with an assessment such as that? West Indies really melting down in a time that you thought they should have seized the moment.
Yes, thank you once again, Mr. Codlin, and greetings again to our panelists and to the viewers. Well, first of all, you cannot coach what you do not know. If you don't know it, then you can't explain it to anyone. And it is not a game that is played on the cricket field to begin with. What we are talking about is a mental approach to the game, mental approach to life. And West Indies cricket, apparently, the administrators do not know anything about it, don't care to know anything about it. So when you get these youngsters coming in, they do not know how to apply and approach the game mentally. What is required of them to have patience, what it means to have patience, what it means to wait for the bad ball, and more than anything else, to have what you would say the mental endurance, because cricket is like a chess game. It's not like a game of draft or checkers where you make a quick move and in 2 minutes a game is over. It's like a chess game. It's movement to movement. And so this wicket, to help them though, this wicket, as much as Shamar Joseph bowled brilliantly and our bowling unit did well, it's the same pitch that South Africa is going to bowl on. So if we can bowl them down, we have to know that they can also bowl us down. There's nothing written that it's going to flip. So our batsmen would have had to learn from what happened with the South Africans and realize that no, you can't come out here and try to go for your shots. You can't lock up shot either, but you have to be very careful about giving away your wickets.
But Mr. Brown,
yes,
that's where leadership comes in, because we're making the reference with Coach Darren Sammy and his style. Coach Andre Coley and his team sat in the dugout and would have had information on South Africa and the way the pitch is playing. The difference is that they got a chance to see how the pitch is playing. And we have seen when West Indies went in, they were not conditioned with a plan. And that's what we're trying to knock. That the coaching that is now there, what is there is not working for the players because we did not see a plan, and that's what we are seeing with Darren Sammy, that they always have a plan. It might not always work out, but they always have a plan. But Coley don't have one because we're not seeing it.
Mr. Codlin, what you're speaking about, you're talking about cricket coaching, etc., etc. But you cannot expect these gentlemen who do not know the principles of mindfulness, the principles of mind power, they will not be able to teach it because they don't know it. And that is what is lacking in the West Indies camp, sir, in my opinion. Is not the cricket skills or anything, is the mental approach. And if they don't know how to teach the techniques, to apply those techniques, they can't teach it. They simply cannot teach it. Whether it's Sammy or whomever, I still don't forget our dismal performance, in the last couple of games in the World Cup. And of course, some people are great cheerleaders and they attract cameras on them, and it looks as if they are doing whatever it is they're doing, whereas they might not even really be doing anything if you stop and think about it. But today, we have to understand it's not just simply the boys not batting well, the players not batting well. They bowled well. The condition of the pitch is very challenging, and your skill as a batsman is not enough to simply overcome the challenges of the pitch. It is not enough. The two deliveries that took care of Brathwaite and Mikel Louis were excellent deliveries, could have bowled anyone. I was more concerned about how Hodge and De Silva, how they got out, driving at wide balls. But it's the same thing the South Africans got out at. So, if they can bowl us out, Mr. Codlin, if we can bowl them down 460 runs, we have to accept and understand that they too can bowl us down. And if we don't go out there with the right, if nobody in the camp from the top coming on down do not know how to prepare someone mentally to deal with difficult situations, whether it's in their lives or on the pitch, no, it's not going to happen. So we need a complete overall as to how our players would approach the game. But it is not just the players, it's also how the coaches and the administrators approach the game too. It is easy to say they did this and they did that, but if they don't have someone to bend the willow and to show them how to do it, they're not going to do it.
Absolutely. Mr. Francis, when we spoke earlier today, we said that West Indies must bowl out South Africa must bowl them out today based on what we have seen at lunchtime. But West Indies almost bowl out themselves. If we had several more overs in the day, we would have been speaking a lot different at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right. We thought that we'll get them under 160, and by right, under 200. They got 160, which they should not have gotten. A 97 for 8 and for 9. Last wicket pair put on 63. That is unforgivable. But it comes with the leadership. I don't think they should have scored that many runs. The tailenders, in fact, should have scored so many runs. That was one of our biggest mistakes. Of course, when we batted, we got a couple of good deliveries, but nevertheless, we should have, some of the batters got out. Carty was set. He was playing, just chipping. If you're going to chip hard into the man in the infield and let it go down to the boundary. Just chip to, and then the out. It was Hodge, who get bowled and caught. My good, no, not Hodge. Atenes, who got bowled and caught. That was, we didn't bat well. We got some good deliveries, but we have to absorb the pressure, play the ball on its merit, get the singles, and even the last wicket that fell for Moti, playing across the line. Just play simply, play simple. Holder did well. He was lucky when he appealed at LBW decision, and he went in his favor. But if that were given, we would have been in more trouble. The fact is, our leadership is bad. He came from that last wicket pair and he just came right into the second or first innings. We never recovered. But I hope that Jason can hold it on tomorrow. And Warwickon is not a rabbit. And Shamar Joseph, we can get a few from.
Yeah, we know his brilliance. We know his brilliance in Australia and in England a few weeks ago.
And we hope we can get at least, if not overhaul their total, we get close. Because we disgrace to make them score 160 and we could not make that. True, the wicket is tricky, but the runs can be had. You see Holder when he came on the front foot and drive, and not drive in the air, drive on the ground. We have to learn to play under pressure. And something, it's about time we look about changing our captain. I don't care if the series is over or we have a match to go. Give hold of the captaincy and let Bradford sit back and relax. We seem the pressure is too much for him. Today, he didn't even try to bowl Hodge when the going was good, was tough. He didn't try to give Hodge an over.
It's very interesting that you say that, Mr. Francis, because it leads us into the topic of what we met this evening really to talk about, and that is Shamar Joseph. His first spell was 7 consecutive overs.
Yes.
Not even the South African captain bowled KG Rabada in Trinidad and Tobago for 6 consecutive overs. Craig Brathwaite bowled Shamar Joseph for 7 consecutive overs and came back again and bowled him for 7 consecutive overs again. And at the end of that, the young man was off the field because of cramps. How detrimental is that move from Craig Brathwaite? We understand that he wanted to kill the game and it was the right thing to do, but bearing that there's a second innings, would you, if you were Craig Brathwaite, held off a bit and asked the other bowlers to step up?
And that's what I said. You should have used Hodge a little too. Should have used Hodge.
And he had Atanis to his disposal.
And he had Atanis
he had himself as well.
Yeah, and he didn't even bowl. He didn't even try something new. Holder, I think Holder was a little bit over on the bowl too. Could have come back and rotate the strike with Seals and work Hodge between, but there's no way they should have scored 63 runs for the last pair. That is a noose around our neck, and we have to overhaul that total to be really back in a winning position if we are to win this outcome. Because if they get a lead, it means that you're going to give them the confidence to have a big score in the last innings, and we seldom bat well on the last innings of test matches, knowing that this pitch is assisting the bowlers. So we'll wait and see. So that's my take for now until we come back later.
Yeah, Mr. Brown, how important is Joseph to tomorrow's play? Seeing that he started to suffer cramps already. It's a hot Guyana. It's the first I've seen Guyana so hot. No rain whatsoever. How important will he be tomorrow to the chances of West Indies wrestling back the advantage from South Africa?
Will be extremely important. And it is troubling that he played 2 test matches in England and suffered from cramps in both those games. And to come back now after missing the first game and to return now under some kind of duress, because to bowl 14 overs within a session and a half, that is a lot of bowling for him to do. And I think it hopefully doesn't backfire on the captain to have pushed him to that limit Did he get an over or two too many? In that in those two spells.
Yeah,
And
because not cutting you, but when we were off here, we were saying that we don't know if the T20 squad would have been picked already. But even if he was not in the T20 squad, then we would risk him. But seeing that there is a second innings, you would do it in the first innings if you were Craig Brathwaite.
exactly. And as you said, I don't even think about T20. He is a treasure, and they have to treat him as such, make sure he gets all the nutritional and physical therapeutic advice that he can possibly get, because very enthusiastic young man, very skillful bowler, have everything going for him. But when you see someone cramping up like that, it simply means it points to dehydration. And what causes that kind of dehydration in such a young athlete has to be addressed by the medical staff. And his role will be very crucial, because he's the one that can produce a spell and knock South Africa out. Between him and Seals, they are the ones that have that ability to produce a match-winning spell like that.
Yeah, yeah, we hear you on that. Mr. Eat, tomorrow for Shamar Joseph, first he would be asked to make sure that we overall the score against South Africa, and then he would have to come back and put in a spell again. What do you suggest to Captain Craig Brathwaite on how to use this young man, seeing that he would have overbowled him in the first innings, a bit too ambitious? What's your advice to Craig Brathwaite in regards to Shamar Joseph? A trump card for us, but fragile in the same breath.
Mr. Codlin, first of all, before I go on, I just want to take the opportunity to welcome panelist John Melber, who has joined us. And in terms of the situation with Shamar Joseph, it is about time. We've seen this cramping situation in Australia, in England, and back here in the Caribbean. So as panelist Brown has mentioned, it is high time that a physiologist or a dietitian or a medical doctor be brought into play to give this man an advice, look at his diet, look at his liquid intake and output, and ensure that he has sufficient minerals to keep the cramps away. He is the kind of bowler that West Indies will need, certainly in the second innings of South Africa. And if he's going to break down after 3 or 4 overs, in fact, he shouldn't break down after 7 overs, to be quite honest with you, Mr. Codlin. But this
but bearing that it's a hot, humid day without breeze there at the National Stadium, and no other bowler would have bowled 7 consecutive overs, wouldn't you put it down to the captain being a bit ambitious when he allowed him? The young man was in a rhythm, he wanted to do it, but sometimes we have to save ourselves from sometimes we have to save ourselves from our own self, and this is what we're talking about, leadership. There's no leadership from Craig Brathwaite.
Yes, while I agree with you, but I don't think that 7 overs is excessive, Mr. Codlin. And certainly Shamar Joseph should be strong enough mentally to say to the skipper, after 5 overs, I think I need a break if I need a break. I don't imagine that the skipper alone in this situation should have said, no, I'm going to restrict him, because the skipper's job is to pride South Africa out. And his bowler is doing that job. Now, for him to take him off at that point, as much as I've criticized him in the past, I'm not sure that I would criticize him for wanting Shamar to continue to bowl. Shamar must be strong enough mentally to say to the skipper, I am not in a position to take a 6th or a 7th over, and therefore I need a break, or I need a salt tablet, or I need some minerals. But I don't think the skipper was unfair to expect of him. He's going to be required tomorrow, so I hope that between now and then, the skipper, the physiologists, the medics, and of course, Shamar Joseph can get together and decide what is the best plan of action. If it means bowling 5 over shifts, then that's what it should mean. But they need to sit down and plan this out properly. That's it. Back to you, Mr. Cudley.
We acknowledge the presence of Hall of Famer John Melbourne, and we'll bring him right into it as he's here with us. John, the new appointed vice captain, Joshua De Silva, since being appointed vice captain, at the start of the series against South Africa, we have seen a drop off in his batting. What do you put that down to?
No, I think it's, well, first of all, a very good afternoon to our panelists and to our viewers and listeners on the West Indies Cricket Development Academy TV. I think it's unfair to say that his batting has dropped off. Okay, so he has played 3 innings and hasn't made any runs as vice captain. But these things have to see how he performs in the next few matches, because batsmen fail and batsmen make runs, and hopefully maybe in the second innings he will get some runs. But you know, Dennis said something just now, and I am wondering if it's really down to a lack of experience. When he mentioned about Shamar Joseph maybe needing salt tablets or something, or something to help his situation on the field. And I'm wondering if that is not just experience, that he can turn to the skipper and say, well, I need to take a break, or he can, after an over, he can signal to the dressing room and say, I need tablets or something. If that is just down to experience or a lack of experience at this point in his career. You know, I am really happy to see him back in the squad, tell you the truth.
Yeah,
And
you single-handedly called for him. We were mentioning it when we were on for the lunchtime session today.
Yeah, you cannot. What he did, but maybe back up. I don't recall him having this cramp situation when he was in Australia.
He did.
Mm-hmm. So what is it that happened between Australia and now, the England tour and this tour? Because I did read, what's his name, Best or former Barbadian fast bowler. I read where he was working with Shamar and had Shamar in such great physical condition. So I'm wondering what has caused this drop off in his physical condition now. Did the toe injury prevent him from getting himself ready, or what? I don't know. But it's interesting that he has been having these cramps, and as you know, as I think Dennis said, West Indies cricket need to have the medical nutritionists around now to get him in physically ready to play Test cricket. And I said, no, I just find that some of our athletes of today, some of our cricketers, they're soft. As you look around, some they get injured. And I don't know. But hopefully he can come back in the second innings and produce another good couple of good spells for us. I am disappointed that we are 90-some%. I mean, when I see we bowled, let me just say I have not seen the display, but I'm following it on my phone, and I say we bowl out Australia, South Africa for 160. Let's see what we can do now.
We were on. We were all on and gunning for them, and we believe that we would have given them good luck charm. John, while you're still on, somebody in the comment here, Mr. Ains, not Mr. but Ains, where is coach with all this going on? It's very important. Speak on our fellow Jamaican Andre Coley. 1 year left on his coaching contract. The team in the World Test Championship under him is at the bottom of the table. Craig Brathwaite loses his way as captain of the team. Everything going downhill. Your guided thoughts on Andre Coley and what is happening with our West Indies team under his leadership. Him and the former West Indies director of cricket. The man who is responsible for appointing him as coach and now is his assistant and batting coach, Jimmy Adams.
Jimmy.
Well, I don't think that Jimmy Adams, first of all, should be the batting coach. I also think now it's unfair to be too critical of Andre Coley, because if we're not talking about Sobers, Kanai, Lloyd, and whatever that he's leading. He has some youngsters in the team, in Athanaze, in Michael Louis, and in Katie Carty. KVM Hodge, although he is 31, he has not really played a lot of Test cricket. He's still inexperienced. So I don't think while we are disappointed in the results that we are getting, it might not necessarily be all on Craig Brathwaite. Yes, he might not be handling his troops as we would, as aggressively as we would probably like to see. But, one of the things I learned about commentary and sitting on the sidelines, it's easy to say what should happen and what we would do, except that when you're in the middle. When you're in the middle, it's a different picture. So, I'm just hoping that we can win this test match. I don't think we're going to make the 160, but I'm still hoping that we can do well enough to win this test match. Back to you, Junior.
Mr. Francis, us winning this test match will come down to leadership, captaincy where that is concerned. Do you think Craig Brathwaite can dig deep and far enough to come up with something that will cause West Indies to win? And that question is for you. The other question will be for Mr. Heath. Is it time now to go back temporarily to Jason Holder as West Indies captain, going into the Bangladesh series, seeing that there's a vacuum, a large vacuum now that is created?
Firstly, let me say it is a known fact that Mr. Brathwaite does not bat well in second innings. Let's hope this is not the case, that he's able to put his head down and give us a good good.
Well, he didn't get anything in the first innings.
I know, but it's customary for him not to score in the second innings. Let's hope it's a reverse, that he scores well in the second innings, because it has to start with the open. And Louis didn't get any this match, so I expect them both to give us a good lead, a good chase, at least to help us build a good amount of runs so we can overtake whatever South Africa makes. Lost my thought there a little. Uh,
Can
I think
can can he dig deep to show leadership tomorrow? One
I
that
am I'm hoping that he digs deep, but I'm not really gonna bank on that, because over his past years he has not been doing so. I'm not going to give up with the tail enders. I know Shamar Joseph, he can do a little. I know, and Warrican is not a rabbit, and Seal has proven that he can make a few. So if we get 35, 40 runs and we come about 15, 20 runs be behind, is not too bad. I would love to see them overtake the score, but it depends on Holder. And next thing in, we'll have work on with him, and hope they can put on a good partnership. I hope the pitch ease up a little, and the ball get a little older, and they're able to get away and get some good runs. But we put ourselves in that position. You notice South Africa didn't drop a catch, did they?
absolutely,
They did
absolutely,
not drop a catch, and we have to. And I see a few little mistakes and misfeel. We have to tighten up. The runs are not easy to come by, and why are you going to be giving away wickets in some cases and giving away runs at that? And thirdly, our vice captain, I don't see him and Hodge get out. Those are shots that should not have been played. You're not moving to the pitch, and you're just slashing and edge to slips. That is uncalled for. We know Hodge is supposed to be more dependable, and that shot should have not have been on at that point. Let's hope that
absolutely,
they use the discretion, but with some common sense. The pitch is offering the bowler some help. Wait for the loose ball. When they overpitch, drive them, and don't drive them in the air. Drive them away from the fielders and get the singles or the twos. And you'll just tire the bowlers out. You get a change, you get some loose runs, some loose balls, and then you minimize. We need to overtake the score. It's not unmanageable for us to surpass the score, but it's going to be very challenging. So I wait and see tomorrow what happens. I hope Shamar is well, because this cramping that he has is really getting to me. I think it's going to be something that of concern to the whole West Indies team.
yeah, yeah, we believe that. Mr. Eat, with Joseph not there, and um, you know, Joshua De Silva showing that he can't manage leadership. We have seen in the past that West Indies would have had a few captains within the team. Remember that Shivnarine Chandapal was the captain, then he gave it up. Ramnaresh Sawan came in and took over, then Chris Gale and Darren Sammy and Jason Holden. They all played under each other. Is it time now to return the captaincy to Jason Holder, seeing that he's showing a lot more responsibility now, and that Craig Brathwaite truly seems as if he can't manage the weight of the captaincy that is being placed on him?
Mr. Codlin, yes. I speak, I do not have the full history of Jason Holder's previous record as the captain. I was not aware of how well he did. I know he has a record, but I'm going purely on more recent form. And I think he has the strength and experience to take on the role of captain. And in this particular situation, I would certainly relieve Brathwaite of the captaincy and ask Holder to take it on. I believe Holder will probably be able to contribute a lot more than Brathwaite is doing right now. Brathwaite, from time to time, does not appear to be a captain who thinks ahead or who reads the game. He's always playing catch up. And as a result, there are opportunities that have gone begging simply because he has failed to show us that he is a thinking captain. So I would take the chance and relieve him of the captaincy. And sure enough, I think that Jason Holder probably may well be able to take it on.
For the short term.
Well, even if it's for the short or long term, but at least you can say to him, all right, this is a short-term appointment because we are going through a redevelopment process. I'd like to have somebody else look at this because we are in need of the kind of experience and captaincy that we think we deserve. And if I might just segue on to a couple of points here. Mr. Melba mentioned De Silva. I think it was Mr. Melba mentioned, but I thought he was being very generous to De Silva. De Silva has always been coming in a situation where West Indies demanded a lot of him. And only once, I think it was in that Australia series, or was it the England series?
In the England, in Dominica, where he got that 100.
Right. That's about the only time that he has really come in and provided the kind of play and support that I expected of him. I think it's also time for De Silva to have a rest and Imlach be given the opportunity. He's a young, developing player, and we do not want to leave him sitting on the bench for another 5 years, continually being in the squad, but getting nowhere. And of course, his game gets down the line. So we really do need to rest De Silva and give Imlach the opportunity, possibly in the next 2 test series coming up against Bangladesh. Shamar Joseph, liquid intake, or the possibility that he's overdoing his personal routines and not supplying his body with sufficient minerals or salt to keep his muscles in working order. So there is definitely a need for a consult with a physiologist or a dietitian to look at this diet or that kind of liquid he's imbibing. You know, does he need seltzer water or whatever it may be? That we need to look at. And somebody said, sitting at home, it's easy to make decisions. But you know, the captain, when he sits at home on his off days, these videos are available for reviews. And therefore, if you're a thinking captain, mentally, you would sit down and you would review those tests and you would see the errors that can be fixed. And I suspect strongly that this area is not something that Brathwaite chooses to apply himself in that way. And maybe I'm wrong, but certainly if he had been doing this, he would have seen the errors that he has made in the past. And it doesn't appear to me that this is the case. That's it. And back to you, Mr. Codley.
Absolutely. As we promise on this show, we'll give you expert insights, and these are expert insights into the game today and also on Shamar Joseph, which is our main topic. Hall of Famer have gathered, Hall of Famer John Melbourne, that you don't agree with us giving back the captaincy to Jason Holder, but without a suitable alternative within the Caribbean at the moment, who else do we give the captaincy? Because Craig Brathwaite really need to step away from the captaincy.
Mr. Melba, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Yes, I was, was muted. Yes. I have a feeling that the reason why Joshua De Silva was handed the vice captaincy role for this series is because he could be the next West Indies captain. I wouldn't go back to Holder. You know, let me, you know, I know a lot of you guys have played a lot of cricket. And there are captains and there are captains. And it is not everybody who is a Sir Frank Worrell or I mean, you look at even Sir Gary, great cricketer, but was not a good captain. You know, as I said, not everybody can be and Sir Clive Lloyd, Sir Frank and Sir Clive Lloyd, good captains. It's not everybody who can really fill that role as a captain. The mental, it seems to provide a mental strain on a lot of good cricketers who just can't handle captaincy. And I don't know if that is the case with Craig Brathwaite, but I wouldn't go back to Holder because we're going to get the same Holder, not going to change. But then the question is, then who?
Whom? Yeah.
That's
you know,
fear.
in this West Indies squad, then whom?
That's
know?
a fear. That's quite a fair assessment, and you wonder the likely succession would have been Blackwood, but he did not do himself any justice by getting the volume of runs to keep him within that team, and this is why now there's not a suitable alternative, and this is why Holder is being brought back into question. But what we will do is run a poll online and to see what the fans think about giving back the captaincy to Jason Holder. One thing you would appreciate with this show is that when we ask for something, we might just get it. And we asked for the West Indies today to restrict South Africa before the day's play ended. And that's absolutely what we get. What we can't promise that there will be a victory for the West Indies because South Africa, towards the end of the day, would have wrestled back the advantage from the West Indies. But tomorrow will be key. It will be key tomorrow. But if you were Craig Brathwaite tomorrow, what would be your short-term goal? And this is for Mr. Brown. And what would be the long-term at the end of the day tomorrow? Because by Saturday evening, this test match will come to an end. So tomorrow will be a decisive day once again. And everything that will unfold will happen tomorrow. So it will be crucial. Articulate for the viewers. What would be your plan if you were Craig Brathwaite tomorrow?
Okay, thank you, sir. First and foremost, we have to occupy the crease for as long as possible. And by the time we would have been dismissed, we would have overtaken South Africa's first innings score. It's going to take a lot of discipline from the tailenders to support Jason Holder. And I would like to see, but I don't know if Mr. Brathwaite would have said it, but Holder is certainly experienced enough where we can see him speaking to the persons that are batting with him and guiding them through the process. And at the same time, for those individuals not to get out to any rash strokes. Their job is to occupy the crease and let Holder score whatever runs he can score. We would hope that would come from the coach and that would come from the captain, as you suggested. When we take the field tomorrow now, the field placings, I would like to see them be the bowlers bowl to the field placings, because one of the problems this afternoon in the post-lunch session was the bowlers got very ragged and gave away a lot of easy runs. And that is one of the reasons why South Africa, made so many runs, were able to add 63 runs for the last wicket. And it was because our bowlers didn't stick to the task. And again, if I'm not getting your wicket, you're not scoring any runs, or you're going to have to work very hard for those runs, but I'm not going to gift them to you. And I saw it, where, again, the captain only has but so much control. I am going to believe that they had to speak to the bowlers, and the bowlers simply did not follow instructions. How much of that is to be blamed on the captain or the coach? That is conjecture at this point. But I want to see him showing us that he's talking to them, that he's telling them, hey, remember, keeping that channel outside the off stop, don't go down the leg side, those type of things. You want to see him be more animated in how he's discussing tactics, or reminding the players of the tactics.
Mr. Brown, would you agree that if it was a Jamaican was the captain and the team performing so poorly, they would be calling for the immediate removal of that person? Would you agree with such a thought as that?
Well, Jamaicans would not be calling for their heads. I really don't know.
The general Caribbean fans.
The general Caribbean, I really don't know that if people would be calling for his head simply because he's a Jamaican. Right now, we have a Jamaican who is the head coach, and from the little that I see, I don't see the Caribbean on a whole calling for his head.
Because people is not interested in West Indies test team anymore because they are performing so poorly. Somebody in the comments, suspicious minds. West Indies should stop play test cricket. And I'm not sure that suspicious mind really mean this deep down, but you could understand the frustration why somebody would say something like this. And it's simple. The players are not making it easy for themselves where the fans are concerned. And one of our panelists, they moan the lack of supporters at the Queen's Park Oval. And it is things like these that will keep them away. Would you agree with that?
Yes, definitely. And one thing we also have to remember, one of the hardest jobs to do in sports is to captain a losing team. It is very difficult, and it will break the best of players.
Especially when you are a loser.
The losing team, to captain a losing team is very, very difficult. And people are going to question every single thing that you do. And they will break you. They will absolutely break you. No matter what you do.
But Mr. Brown, the media in the Caribbean is not putting the amount of pressure that we have seen in the past on Craig Brathwaite.
Okay, if they are not putting that pressure on him, the administrators who put him in that position, they are the ones that the pressure should really be placed on, because he didn't ask for the captaincy. I remember a famous quote from Mr. Chris Gale. When someone asked him a question, he says, I didn't ask them for the captaincy, they gave it to me. What do you want from me? Absolutely. I only can do my best. So Craig Brathwaite to captain the team for 35 test matches ongoing. This is the 35th test match. It's only 4 persons that has captained the West Indies more occasions than he has. And I think that it's too much. captaining the team for so long with them. It's not his fault that the players are not performing, but he has to take a lot of the blame because if they won, he would have gotten all of the praise.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That
You
is
know,
true.
so he has to take some of the blame for it.
Let's
But
look.
what I see happening is that he has now overstayed his time.
Yeah,
He has
yeah.
overstayed his time.
Let's look at the comments here from Ains again. For the past 15 years, I have noticed our batters getting out playing um, in the ARC between mid-off and first slip. This is not West Indian. Ask Rowe, Mattis, Ains, Jim Allen, Richardson, Richard Hunt.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not sure how to take this. If one of you could elaborate more on this comment, but the gist of it is that the batters are getting out the same way that they have been getting out 15 years ago, and what this person in the comment is saying that they are not learning, and it links back to what you're saying, Mr. Brown, that they are no they are not thinking, and the West Indies team to improve need deep deep breathing and meditation to to watch the videos how they get out and say to themselves, you get me out this way yesterday, you're not getting me out that way today. um Mr. Francis, how concerned are you with the inconsistency of Alec Athens?
Well, before Artenis, I gotta get back on the captain again because of his poor performance with the bat, his leadership is also deteriorating.
Yeah,
And what I noticed that they're not getting to the pitch of the balls, and they're getting that caught in the cordon area, in the slip court area. You're supposed to drive the ball in the V, right? And when you do that, get to the pitch, get over the ball, and hit the ball in the V. Get the singles. You don't have to get boundaries every time you play a stroke. You can get a single, just rotate the strike. By just rotating the strike, you the bowler is bowling to a new batter. And then he has to think differently. In some cases, he might be a left-hander. And they're not concentrating. They're not thinking on their feet. I don't know what is the problem, why they can't concentrate. You need to put your heads down. Not every ball you can hit to the boundary. Some you just pat, and some you just touch to the, get a sharp single, rotate the strike. They're not using their heads at all. Some deliveries you can not do nothing about them. But all you have to do, I prefer to see a batsman get out LBW than to be bowled clean up. Where is your pad? Get your pad inside there. You have room in between your pad for ball to pass. Between your bat and pad and bowl you down. Get me LBW or get me caught in, nicking off by ball moving up. But they got to concentrate. They're not thinking on their feet.
and as
And that
Ains is saying in the comment, for the past 15 years, this is how they have been getting out.
exactly. Yeah. There's
They're not.
no change. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. And that's what they're doing.
Yeah,
And nobody seems to be telling them, or they're not doing it for themselves. We
It-
need to get a shake up. When Richard used to talk to them, they used to cry. They say, perhaps they need somebody in the dressing room to, when they get out there,
yeah,
talk
with
to them hard and let them cry
seriousness.
inside there.
Yeah,
Serious.
yeah,
This
with
is serious
seriousness.
business.
They are too friendly. The coaching, the think tank is too laid back and too friendly. Um, Hall of Famer Melbourne, your closing thoughts, and articulate for the viewers tomorrow what we could expect from this West Indies team. They will bowl again tomorrow. South Africa will bat at some point tomorrow. What is the expectation, what can they look forward to from their West Indies, their beloved West Indies team tomorrow?
Thank you so much, Junior. Let me just touch on something before I look at my expectations for tomorrow. Um, as I mentioned a couple of times, I am not sure that Jimmy Adams is the right person to be the batting coach for
Absolutely.
these youngsters. And I am saying that because Jimmy Adams was not the same batsman after he got hit in a match a few years ago. So I don't know, based on that, and that psychological stain that he has, or that he never recovered from as a batsman, if that is being carried over now into coaching these youngsters. Like our panelists say, I am hoping that we can get close to the 160. That South Africa does not go back to the wicket with a 30-40 run lead. And then we try to dismiss them again. I don't think we would dismiss them for another 160. Could be in the 200s. And then we will have, 2-3 days in which to get the runs to win the test match. But I have faith in our youngsters, in Kesey Carty, in Athanaze. I think, as much as we beat up Craig Brathwaite, I think Craig is going to really put his head down when we bat again. And because, look, since he's been partnering with Louis, they have 3 or 4 50-yard run opening partnerships. So, I'm looking for them to really put their head down in the second innings. Although they have a penchant of falling apart in the second innings, I think this second innings is going to be a different second innings for the West Indies. And when the match ends, when the last ball is bowled, expecting West Indies to win this one. Back to you, Junior.
Absolutely, and that win, either or either, will come this Saturday, and we will be here to bring you coverage of that. We'll be back tomorrow evening to bring you close of play thoughts when the test match will be a lot more advanced. Come tomorrow, the West Indies went in at 97 for the loss of 7 wickets. Right, for the loss of 7 wickets, with Jason Holder there unbeaten in the 30s, and Jamel Warkan or Shamar Joseph will join him tomorrow. Quite shortly, we will post a video of the interview that we just had with Shamar Joseph, so look out on the channel for that. And it was an honor and a privilege this evening to bring you expert insight on Shamar Joseph and the West Indies team from us here, your favorite cricket show. We have 40,000 strong viewers, and it's amazing that they have chosen us to listen to each and every time West Indies play. Hall of Famer John Melbourne, thank you for joining. The Honorary Secretary of the Hall of Fame, Mr. Dale Brown, thanks for joining. And recently nominated and slated to be inducted in the Cricket Hall of Fame, Mr. Dennis E. Thank you for joining. And also the President of Cricket Show USA, also recently nominated and slated to be inducted in the Cricket Hall of Fame. The presentation and the induction ceremony will be live on our channel come October 5th, and we are inviting you to tune into that. And the Hall of Fame, which is our main partner, we thank them once again for helping us to put out this show. From all of us here at West Indies Cricket Development Academy TV, goodbye until tomorrow evening when we will bring you once again expert insight on West Indies and how day two unfolds there at the National Stadium in Georgetown, Guyana. We thank everyone from Guyana, 2,000 plus strong watchers from Georgetown alone watching our channel, and we thank them for joining and tuning in to us each and every time. Please remember to like this stream. Remember also to subscribe to the channel and to watch the ads. Thank you until tomorrow evening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Speed
Bye.
to the city streets. We
Yes,
build the
gentlemen.
fire.